Hey everyone, today I want to talk about, back in the book of Genesis, we're going to talk about grace a little bit. So, looking at Genesis chapter 3, starting in verse 17, we're going to go to verse 19. So, to Adam he said, well, let me set this up real quick. This is right after Adam and Eve sinned, and God came up and figured out they were sinning, and he's doling out his punishment. So, anyway, verse 17. To Adam he said, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food, until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. So what does all that have to do with grace, right? It's all punishment. Well, first couple of thoughts. The first thought is, not really about grace, but how often does God curse something? I don't know. I haven't done any real study on that, but I don't think it happens all that often. I mean, God was pretty ticked off because of everything. Adam and Eve had permission to do anything except eat from the tree of life, or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And what do? They ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One possible way that they could hurt God, and they did it. So, God curses the ground. It doesn't happen all that often, but he's really ticked off. And we even see it today. Today we have thorns and thistles, right? Today we have to work and not like it. I mean, it is what it is. They call it work for a reason, right? If it was fun, if it was meant to be fun, it would be called fun. But so at this point in creation, there's two people. Of all the creation, there are two people alive on the entire planet Earth. And it would have been super easy for God to just, I'm going to start over. But he had grace in that he didn't start over. He didn't wipe us out and go with, something else. He instead said, you know what? Yeah, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to be punished, okay? And it's only right that we're punished. However, he had grace in that he let us live. And I think that's a huge thing. I mean, it's incredible. Looking a little bit further, curse of the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it. So it's going to suck going out and working. It's always going to be a challenge throughout the rest of mankind. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground. You might be wondering, where's the grace in that? Well, God let us live, and he promised that even though he cursed the ground, it's still going to produce crops. It's still going to produce sustenance for us to be able to survive and live. That's a lot of grace right there. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, this is the first punishment in history. I mean, think about it. The very first punishment that has ever happened. And I think it serves as a great example. I go through, my kids do stuff wrong, right? You got to punish them. How much grace am I giving them? How much grace do I give the people that I work with? How much grace do I give, anybody? And the answer is not a lot. As people, we expect others to live up to a certain standard, and when they don't, if they're our loved ones, then yeah, we punish them, but we don't show a ton of grace. Maybe some, but not a ton. And if they're not our loved ones, then we're really hard-pressed to show any grace. And yet, God, knowing exactly what the consequences were, showed us grace by letting us live. Because Romans says the wages of sin is death, right? So God would be fully justified in totally wiping us out. And he knew that the only way to make it truly right was Jesus' sacrifice. So giving up his only son to die for us. It's the only way to make it right. And so, in that first punishment, he had to know all of that and made the decision anyway to give us that grace. And that's pretty amazing. And just that we're here is such an amazing gift. And yet we go out, and I'm guilty of this too, but we go out and we complain about, I don't have what my neighbor has. Or, I'm eating today, but it's not really what I want to be eating. I'm not eating steak every meal, Or, I'm not driving the greatest car. Or I don't look a certain way. I mean, think about that. How much do we complain when, really, at the very beginning, we already shouldn't be here? God's shown us enough grace. And the amazing thing, beyond that, is that he still showers us with grace in blessing after blessing after blessing. Every day that we draw breath, we should be waking up and just saying, thank you. So think about that. The next time maybe somebody slights you, or the next time you have to punish one of your children, or the next time somebody cuts you off in traffic, or think about that maybe, the next time you don't really feel like doing the right thing. Maybe you'll change your mind. God's showing us grace. Let's show some to other folks.